Guys, welcome back to video 4 in this Masterclass series that I'm doing with Rob Wensley from InvestorLift. This series is all about how to build a $1 million a month business. Super exciting, guys. We're going through some very high level stuff. I think information that you're not going to learn anywhere else than in this masterclass, unless Rob is teaching it, somewhere else. But this is really where the big leagues come into play, right? This is where the pros are playing at in this business. And you have to realize that it literally is a $1 million a month business if you decide to make it that. That's what this can be. So we are now on video 4, and we're moving along in a progressive way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for all you do. Thank you for sharing your wealth of information. It's amazing what you've shared so far in this series. Guys, make sure you leave a comment and tell us that, Rob, you're a flipping genius. Thank you for what you're doing, because he's taking time out of his busy schedule. He's got multi-million-dollar companies that he runs, and he's sitting with me here in my office sharing this information with you. So I hope you appreciate that, I guess, is where I'm going. But again, thank you, Rob. And I'm really excited about this video because we're going to be talking about now choosing your market. And I've asked Rob to kind of show us from a reverse engineering perspective on choosing a market. And what he's going to share, what we want to talk about here is, I think, looking at your market from a very different perspective than a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that the end in mind or the end in sight first kind of approach, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this. It matters. First, it matters what market you're in, doesn't it? Doesn't it matter what market you're in?
It is literally can make or break you.
Make or break you, your market.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never really thought about it that way, but I think that is very true. The market you're in can make or break you as far as can you build $1 million a month. Again, this is if you want to build $1 million a month business. The market, you can always do deals in any market, like without a doubt. But to build $1 million a month business, the market you're in or markets really matter.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, Rob.
All right. So the first thing you need to understand is, I always tell people this, it takes the exact same processes, the exact same amount of effort to make a $5,000 assignment fee as it does to make a $100,000 assignment. In fact, it's usually easier and less hassle and less work to make the $100,000 assignment fee than it is to make the $5,000.
I say this all the time. It's easier to do a big deal than a little deal.
100%.
It's easier to do a big deal than a little deal.
100%. So what we don't want to be doing is we don't want to be going into markets where the price point of properties are so low that our assignment fees are in that like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 range. Is a general rule of thumb, your assignment fees, I like to do ballpark. Assignment fees are usually about 10% of the average sale price of properties.
The exit price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the top teams are much higher than that. Okay. Yeah. And now we're not looking at the low end at $100,000. People are like, oh, I'm in Baltimore and it's a minus 35%. I'm like, yeah, that's because your houses you're selling are like
25 grand.
Yeah.
Like, Detroit.
Yeah. So we're just going to anything under 200 grand, we're not even going to look at because that's not even worth our time. We should be trying to make at least $20,000 per deal. So first thing is any markets where the average sale price is less than $200,000, don't even bother with them.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
you guys catch that.
That might be controversial because a lot of people are like, oh, but it's so easy to get deals in these areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it really worth the time? Think about if you're doing $5,000 deals and I'm doing $25,000 deals, you literally have to do 5 times more deals.
Well, Rob, can you do a $20,000 assignment where you dispo it at 100 and you get the contract at 80? I mean, isn't that feasible, or is that just not normal?
It's far and few between. If you're on those 100K houses, typically like that you're gonna hit some 20s.
Yeah.
But for every 20 you hit, you're gonna have 3 or 4 5s and 7s. Right. That's the problem you're gonna run into.
Yeah, so it's really an economies of scale thing, right? So when you start to push up into the 200 plus price points, carving out a 20K assignment, it's twice as easy. It's twice as easy, yeah. Versus if you're trying to buy something at 40 and dispo it at 60, that spread is percentage-wise is way bigger, so it's going to be more challenging.
Absolutely. So it's way too hard to really scale when you're playing in a sub 200 price point. Okay. Fly. It's okay. We'll leave that one in for comments.
Yeah.
But okay, so So I would knock out anything where you just type in the name of any city plus average sale price, and Google will just tell you average sale price of a house in the city is whatever. So
it's easy to figure that out,
It takes 5 seconds. Come up with a list of cities that you're thinking about. So I would knock out anything under 200,000, okay? And now the next thing that people think of is they're like, okay, higher price point properties means higher assignment fees. Let me just go to the top. Let me go to Southern California. Let me go to Seattle, Colorado. Let me go to the Northeast. If you're just getting rolling, that's also a mistake. Because if you go down to Southern California, you got guys like Tarek Musa down there that's spending $400,000 a month on Google Ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's just Google Ads plus radio, TV, retargeting. Like that's who you're competing against, and they have the best trained salespeople, the best technology, the best marketing. They've literally been pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into their money printing machine, and you're going to be competing against those guys. So if you're just getting started, or even if you're in like the 3 to 5 deal a month range, it's a mistake to go try to jump right up to the top.
And the reason why someone might consider that is because now you're hitting $50,000 average assignment
50,
fees. So
100,
it's alluring.
Yeah, like
right?
San Francisco, I've seen many 200,000 plus assignment fees this year. I've seen 400,000 assignment fees, even 600,000 assignment fees.
And when you put it in perspective and you're dispoing a $2.5 million house, it's not a big deal to make a $250 assignment fee, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of the price points.
And because there might be a way to do something with that building that's massive value add.
Yeah.
You know? But then you also need to understand that. You need, in Washington, D.C. is a prime example where we do these things called pop tops. We just add another level on top, and it's massive value. So we know exactly, like, if we do a pop top, that's going to add, $700,000 of value to this townhouse in Georgetown or whatever. Yeah. So, like, if you really understand stuff like that, you can play in those markets. But if you're just getting rolling, stay the hell away. You'll get chewed up, spit out. You're going to get killed.
So to transition, avoid the low price markets and avoid the super high price markets.
Yeah. Unless you're a killer at sales, then maybe you can dabble in the high price point. But
so would you say like the 200 up to what, 600?
200, 600. What I say, if you're in that like 3 to like 1 to 5 deal range, a 200 to 400 is really
great market.
That's like the average price point of a property sold on InvestorLift is about 180,000. Okay, that's where the volume is. Okay. Now that's what they're selling for. ARV on those is like
4, 5, 6,
400,
Yeah.
So like we're selling into those markets that are like 300, 400, 500,000.
Right. Because if you're dispoing something at 2, back end's probably 4 or 5, right? Because they're gonna rehab it, be all in at whatever percentage and totally.
And like on InvestorLift, before people come on InvestorLift, they typically have an average assignment fee of under 20,000. We always ask every person that comes on InvestorLift, we ask them, what's your average assignment fee? And 15, 16, 17, that's pretty standard. The average assignment fee on InvestorLift for the first couple of years was pretty consistent around 35,000.
That's high.
It's high.
That's awesome.
Right? It's almost twice as much money.
Yeah. I think I've heard industry wide is like 14,000, or maybe that's Phoenix or whatever. But
that's probably about right. Yeah. About 14 is what I would expect, but we're doing 35. And the reason why we're doing 35 is, well, number one, we have access to a lot more buyers, right? So we're able to, something that someone else would make 25 on, we make 35 just because we get more offers, we can push the price points up. But the other thing too is I train our teams on how to pick out markets. So if people come on and they're in a really garbage market, I just shoot straight with them. I'm like, you're in a garbage market. The only reason why you're doing deals here is because you're physically located in that market. Pre-COVID, that made sense. But COVID was kind of like this gift for the wholesaling business because we only used to do deals in our backyard. Yeah. But then after COVID, we're like, oh, we're having to do everything over the phone.
Zoom became the new normal.
Yeah, and if I'm doing stuff over the phone that's down the street from me, why can't I do stuff over the phone that's on the other side of the country? So it forced this. I always knew that was where we were headed.
Available, yeah.
But people didn't want to. They're like, no, we got to go belly to belly. We got to see every property. Yeah. I'm like, no, you don't. This is a marketing business.
I've been doing virtual since 2013 when it wasn't even a thing. Like we didn't even call it anything. Then it became a little popular. COVID made it like mainstream.
It's mainstream. That's now the standard. Yeah. Is we're doing it all over the phone.
Yeah, like why go on appointment, really?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to anymore.
The time that you're out on appointment, driving there, going back, you could talk to
you could close people. 4 more deals. Yeah. So this is fascinating. Okay, so no low income, no high income. What else do we need to know about choosing a market?
Okay, so the other thing too is, and I'll actually give you some data that we can put up here. So at InvestorLift, the cool thing about InvestorLift is we're pumping more investment properties, off-market single-family investment properties than anyone else in the world right now.
So you have the data.
We got the data. We're going to sell probably about $12 billion of homes this year.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
12 billion homes are going to transact on InvestorLift this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is just day one. Like the next year will be north of 20.
Yeah.
Like
and that's not even, I mean, you don't have every wholesaler transacting there. So this is just a fraction of what the industry is.
Yeah. I think I maybe have 10%.
Yeah.
10%. There's probably
so it's a 100+ billion a year industry.
Guaranteed. Like just Southern California is like 15, 20 billion a year made by fix and flippers and wholesalers. It's a really big business.
Yeah.
Like it's
way bigger than people think.
It's huge.
Which is why regulation's coming so strongly, which is a whole nother topic for another day.
We got some cool stuff coming there.
Yeah.
But all right, so you can do deals anywhere. So one of the things that we do at InvestorLift, we're seeing all this data. We're mining the data, and one of the things we like to track is cash conversion cycle. Okay, now sometimes we see the lead when it comes in because we give everyone these seller sites that are super fast, but also people have leads coming in from other channels. So what we do is we actually start the clock at when they post it on the website, typically.
To dispo.
Okay. All right. And what I've done is I've plotted that data. I'll show this to you. Plotted that data on
the heat maps and stuff
on a scatter plot where we look at county population, and then we look at on our axis how many days does it take on average for a home to sell in that county. And what you'll notice is it looks like this. Okay. The counties with very small populations, like sub 500,000 population.
In the county, sub 500,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
In an entire county. That's where you run into these issues where deals are sitting for 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes even 100 days before they're able to move.
Because of low buyer count.
There's not a lot of buyers. There's just not a lot of market activity. It's way too rural.
And do you think the cutoff is 500,000 in a county?
500. I like $1 million plus personally.
In a county. So not a metro or a city, but a county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at counties.
Okay, that's important. That's important to know because when you first told me that, I was thinking, shoot, if that's the city, then that's going to limit quite a bit. But
no, we could have a few cities in one county.
Okay, so
I've also done it by cities too. I should show you that data as well.
Well, the city data is even better, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're in a metro city, that's $1 million plus.
The only problem is like you get to cities like LA, and there's multiple cities within the city. Like people just call it Los Angeles, but there's like
it's like greater.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's say that we have a threshold of minimum 500,000 in a county. If it doesn't at least have 500,000 population in that county, exit. Yeah. And again, it only takes one buyer to do a deal. But when you're doing volume, you can't be trying to dispo a deal where there's only 40 buyers in the entire 15-mile radius in the past year. You're going to work so hard to dispo that deal because you're going to have to reach out individually and do all this manual work.
All of this is possible.
Yeah.
But I've seen big players try to scale in rural markets. The whole strategy being like, oh, no one's running ads there. No one's as sophisticated. And I've seen dozens of guys try that. Is like, this is going to be my new strategy. They all fail.
It works on a small level, but not a big level. It's true. You can find great deals in these rural areas. Yeah. We do all the time. We move them. But not scale. Not when you want to move in 48 hours. So that when we say scale guys, the guys doing $1 million a month, they are moving their deals in 48 hours.
Yeah.
They're not doing 27 follow-ups with this one buyer that's gone to see the property 8 times. Like that's not happening.
Yeah.
It's priced so well and there's so many buyers. It's such a great deal that it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Okay, so keep that in perspective. I know what's going to happen, Rob. The reason why I keep reiterating this is I'm going to get comments that say, well, that's not what you've said before, or that's not what I've learned, or that's not what so-and-so does. True.
Yeah.
We're talking $1 million a month business model is going to follow these parameters.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're trying to find your first deal,
It just takes one buyer.
You just need, like, you might want to go to a real market.
Yeah.
So it'd be less competition. You probably suck at sales. So you might want to go. So everything is like, it depends.
Yeah.
But in the context of scaling.
We just disposed this deal in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. And our buyer literally was the guy that did a deal across the street. And we actually called the agent. The agent said, my buyer's probably interested. He bought it. It was a one-off. It was a lucky. It was that's not how we scale.
No.
There's no way I'm going to scale doing that. Yeah. Right?
So I would focus on anything with I like 1 million plus county population, but if you look at the data, and we'll show the data on this video, you'll see like 500,000 plus is where we really start seeing stuff consistently moving in under 30 days.
Now, what kind of buyer count are we looking at? Do you match? Do you look at that, or is it more?
I do look at it. So we have this thing called God mode, where we can see how many flips have happened around that.
It's really cool. We do a mile. So what we're doing, Rob, just so you know, is we're doing a mile, a 5 mile, and a 15 mile.
Yeah.
To see the buyer count. So what this is telling us is, I've got a subject property, my deal. I want to know how many active cash buyers are a mile, 5 mile, 15 miles. Now, my best buyers are the mile because they're in the same neighborhood, right? But now I'm looking at, okay, do I have enough volume? And we go back a year, is that fine?
Yeah, you can go back a year. You can even go back a couple years because the same buyers come back over and over and over again.
The reason why I'm doing right now a year is my worry is all the overpaying buyers from the previous market are gone. Like a lot of them are gone. Yeah. But guys that have been like even 6 months, those are like legit buyers. Yeah. If they've bought in the past 6 months because market corrected and they're buying, that's a legit buyer. But let's just say a year, go back a year, and how many cash buyers have transacted in the past year, 1 mile, 5 mile, 15 miles?
Great question. So I was talking to Pedro about this yesterday. I'm not going to give specific numbers on this video because what I want to do is actually run the actual numbers and look at what the actual numbers are between deals that sold successfully and deals that fell out. So I actually just picked my tech team about that, and they're actually going to run the actual numbers. So we'll do a separate video later where we actually show you what the numbers are
on what, a specific market or
for the country. Of what it takes to move a deal successfully versus the ones that fall.
I would love that data because I want to create a benchmark. Here's what we're doing with my team, Rob, with InvestorLift, is you have your buy box and your criteria, like the county and all these different price points and stuff. I want to have a threshold that says, run this through InvestorLift. If there's not a minimum of this many buyers, it's a no-go. Like, we're not going to work our tails off to move this deal because there's not enough buyers. Yeah. It's a no-go.
You know what we're going to do? What I want to do with this is I'm going to build it right into the system. So you type in an address and it gives you red light, yellow light, green light.
Perfect.
Red light, stay the hell away. Yellow light, you're going to move it, but you're going to do some more. You're going to do some green light. Okay, this thing's going to fly.
Slam it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really key because last year, so we track analytics on would people leave InvestorLift? You know what the number one reason why we only have most companies will churn through 60%.
They're trying to wholesale garbage in crap markets.
Yeah, we have some of the best retention. We lose about 2% of our users is about our average churn rate. It went up a little bit in the last few months because people are going through adjustments, but we track why people leave. You know what the number one reason why people leave InvestorLift is? They go out of business. You know what the number one reason why people went out of business last year?
Why?
And we got so much data. We're spinning off 250 million data points per month. So based on all that data, the number one reason why people failed and went out of business last year was they were doing too many deals in rural markets. It's literally a wholesaling business killer.
I'll be totally transparent here. I buy a lot of bank properties, and rural is so attractive because I can buy so deep. So I'm like, look at these deals I'm getting.
Looks sick, right?
And BFE, middle of nowhere freaking, but it's a brick house. It's clean. Like, dude, I'm going to kill it on this house. I'm buying it at 40 cents on the dollar. And then we find out, oh crap, we need that one buyer that we have to dig up from. And it's too much work.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get buyers from the an hour away to come, and they're like, "Dude, it's too far away," and all of that. Yeah. You're so right.
The first time I tried to expand into multiple markets, we're doing $1 million a month in the DMV market, and we're like, okay, let's try doubling our marketing spend so we can get to $2 million a month. But there's only so many people searching like how to sell my house fast in like a given city.
Yeah.
So we doubled our marketing spend, and did we get twice as many leads? No, we didn't. We got maybe like 20% more. So we're like, shit, we tapped out this market. The only way to expand that is going to be to go take what we did here in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia market, around DC, and go replicate that. And let's do 5 more markets. So instead of doing $1 million a month in one market, we're doing $5 million a month in 5 markets.
Economies of scale. You know, the model's the model. It doesn't really matter. The houses are widgets.
Yeah, seems like it makes sense, right? And then so this was again back in the days when it was like very belly to belly. So we picked like 5 markets where like we had friends there that could go see the house. That was kind of how we picked out markets.
Boots on the ground.
Really stupid. And then we were just doing the 70% ARV formula. But like I remember one of the markets we were in was, I can't remember which city, some city in Alabama. And we're signing stuff up at 70. We're just cranking. Like, we're like, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. We're signing up all these deals.
With sellers.
Yeah. We got 15 in the pipeline. And then we go to dispo them. It turns out no one pays more than 50 cents on the dollar there.
Yeah.
We're like, shit. We did all that work, all those deals.
Cancel contracts.
Yeah.
So tell me this, because you shared with me some data that has been really powerful in my business, and that's the 45-minute rule to a metro.
Yeah.
So let's talk. So tell me about that.
So sometimes we get a lead that comes through, and it's in a small city, and that small city is normally, if it was a standalone city without anything around it, we would just 100% walk on it. We'd be like,
walk from it.
Yeah.
Like, let's say it's a 50,000 population.
Yeah. Even if it's 30 cents on the dollar, most of the time we're just going to walk. There's a lot of... Because
of a low buyer count.
Yeah, because we know the cash conversion cycle is going to be crazy high.
Too high.
We know the contract fallout rate. Like some of these counties have 70% plus contract fallout rate.
Why? Because you can't dispo it. You can't dispo it, so you back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I see. So when he says fallout rate,
cycles of like 90 days plus.
You get this great deal, you can't find a buyer, you back out.
Yeah. And the assignment fees are like $10,000. So it's like, okay, we got a 70% chance that we're not going to get anything. If we do get something, it's going to take us like months. Could take us months to do. And even if all that did happen, we're going to make $5,000-$10,000.
Not worth it.
Not worth our time. Now there is one exception. That one exception is if you find something in a small city, but there's a big metro nearby. Now what we can do is if we price it at deep enough a discount, we can motivate the fix and flippers and buy and hold guys that operate in that city to go leave that city and go out and do that property. More than 45 minutes is pretty
fallout happens.
Like huge fallout rate. But if it's priced well enough, there's a price point where someone will be like, yeah, I'll get in my car every day and drive out to this deal.
Yeah. If you're in Pittsburgh, you'll go 45 minutes to do a deal, right? If you're, as soon as you push out of that, fall off happens.
Huge contract.
Huge fallout happens. Because cash buyers are like, it's an hour and 10 minutes away.
Not doing that every day.
Maybe tomorrow I'll have time to go look at it or whatever. And they don't. And here you got this great deal, but you're too far away. So again, if you want to create some criteria here to build $1 million a month plus business, 45 minutes from a metro. Now, when we say metro, like what's a population? Because everybody thinks of a city as like, well, what does a big city look like? Does Charlotte count?
Yeah, Charlotte's
right.
Great.
Like, is there a population you look for to consider it a metro area?
Yeah, again, I think what I'd have to do is I don't want to give fake numbers on there. So what I want to do, we'll do a separate video where we'll actually show the graphs of like, here's the progression. Because there's no like one specific number. It's like there's a progression. And based on your criteria, you got to figure out where on that curve you want to be. How much risk are you going to take? Right? Gotcha. There's no like one set number.
But generally speaking, if you're in any of the big markets that everybody, I mean, like if I haven't heard of it, it's probably not a metro market, right?
Right.
Like,
if there's not an airport, like that's a pretty easy one there. If there's not an airport, or I had one client, he did the football stadium.
If they don't have a football stadium,
have a football stadium, I'm not answering the market.
It's not a metro market, yeah. So, or an airport or whatever. But we're talking like the Atlantas, the Nashvilles, the Charlottes, the the markets that everybody's heard of. 45 minutes out of the city, so it might be a town, but if it's 45 minutes to a metro, and that's really easy. What we're doing is part of our pre-qual process is just they drop the address and then they map it to the closest
major metro.
Yeah, and if it tells you the distance is more than 45 minutes, it's a no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
or understand your risk.
Absolutely.
Understand your risk.
Yeah, you can do stuff real, but that's the number one way that companies died last year. So do you want to do something that the $1 million a month, the strategy of the $1 million a month guys start making bank?
Yeah.
And buying private jets, or do you want to do something that
one model that I've done fairly well with is take it down and if they're clean, MLS them, but then that ruins your cash conversion cycle.
Yeah, that's what you have to do in rural.
Yeah.
If you get a lead and it's like smoking hot deal, I wouldn't even. There's in most scenarios you got to novate it or just take it down and relist on MLS.
Take it down, clean it out, take good pictures, put it back on the MLS, pay a flat fee.
Yeah.
You know, we use broker LESS. They charge $150. It's on the MLS.
Yeah.
You still got to pay 3% to a buyer's agent, but now you're looking for someone in town that'll buy that house, and you can make good doing that. Like you can hit some pretty good numbers if it's a nice clean house but that's your exit, not and that kills your cash conversion cycle because now you're in your cash is out. You're on the MLS, showings, inspections, financing, all the things.
Tons of time.
30, 60 days to move your deal.
Yeah.
It's just not a scale model very well, unless you got deep cash.
Just getting started and that's your like first opportunity, jump on it.
Yeah.
You know?
If you're playing at the 3 to 5 level, fine.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking the big leagues.
Yeah, but big leagues, you're just going to walk away from that stuff. So I'll tell you the two most active markets where there's more deals happening than anywhere else, Texas and Florida.
Texas and Florida? Yeah.
By far.
I mean, they're massive states. But why? Just high move rate there?
The price points there, you got a lot of properties in that 200,000, 400,000.
No income tax state. Both are no income tax state.
A lot. Also, both have a lot of people moving into them.
Boomers are going there.
You got a lot of macroeconomic trends. So they're attracting a lot of investment capital. The macroeconomic situation is good. The price points are good. Also, no basements. Basements are a big thing.
Oh, basements with foundation problems.
Foundation issues.
Kill more deals.
Yeah. So Texas, Florida, most of those properties have no basement. So you can get in and out.
But even any of those sand states, like the North Carolina, South Carolinas,
beautiful,
Tennessee,
the whole Sun Belt coming up the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's where more money is made by wholesalers than anywhere else.
Okay. You guys hear that? That's great feedback.
Yeah.
What about like Atlanta?
We have more properties posted in Atlanta than the inner city in America.
Okay.
Highest volume.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tighter there, the assignment fees. You're going to be playing in the $15,000 to $25,000 range versus somewhere like DC, you're like, you're 35 to 50. But Atlanta, huge market.
And you think the blue collar manufacturing states like the Ohios and Indiana, Illinois, all those are kind of price points are lower.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pick the right cities.
Okay.
Right. So I have some guys that crush it in certain select cities in Ohio, but they're very picky about not just which cities they pick up, but also the neighborhoods in those cities.
Again, prior price points.
Yeah. And you got to watch out for high crime areas. If you go, again, God Mode, one of our tools, you can go on a map and see all the flips happening around. You actually had a deal that Pedro had me look at, and I looked in God Mode, and the city beside it had like 2,000 deals within a 15-mile radius. But the city that your deal was in, there was no deals within 5 miles of it. Zero. So I saw that. I'm like, that's a high crime area. And then we fired it over to our buddy Chris Rude, and he looked at it.
I know what you're talking about now.
And he was like, you know what? No, that's a really rough area. But I could see it in the data. I could see it on the map. I didn't even need to know. I've just looked at so many that I'm like, that's a high crime area.
Really?
When we see those holes where there's nothing happening, it's a high crime area.
So flippers, everyone just stays away from it.
Stays out.
They just stay out of there. That's fascinating too because the house was a killer house.
Killer deal, right?
Great house, super clean. I was like, why isn't this getting gobbled up? And Chris Rude was like, oh my gosh, that place is a armpit, so totally true.
Yeah.
Well, fascinating. Okay. Really picking a market. I mean, you gave some great information for how to pick a market. I mean, this is better information than I've ever heard explained about how to pick a market. And what I love about this, Rob, is it's reverse engineering. It's looking at where your exit is to decide where to start farming for leads and getting deals. And what a smart way to look at it. You know, you can get the best deal deep and everything, but if you got to work your tail off to get a buyer, you don't have a model that can scale. It's 100%. Too much work.
Yeah.
You need a market where you can turn these deals fast if you want to scale big.
100%.
And so that's where choosing these markets really matters.
100%. And this is like one of the things we do on InvestorLift. This is why it's so important. Is we'll take a team and they're working in a handful of markets. They use just a handful of markets around where they are, and they'll jump on a call with me. I'll run through their entire business. It looks like they're doing everything right, but they're stuck. They're stuck at 80 grand a month, 100 grand a month, whatever. And you know what I do? Half the time I look at their markets and I'm like, you're in the wrong markets. And we do one thing. We switch their markets.
That's it.
And the next month they literally double the amount of money they're making.
Yeah.
They do nothing different. They don't hire any new people. They're not working twice as hard. They're not spending twice as much money on marketing. Literally all we do is change the markets and we double the business overnight.
Wow.
So that's the power of this, guys, if you apply it right.
Yeah.
Just spend some time thinking. Don't just throw darts at the map. Spend some time thinking about what the pros and cons are of the markets you're going in. Stay the hell away from rural, okay? Unless you're a small scale shop. If you want to scale, stick to major metros. Look for cities with football stadiums,
airports,
and then have the right price point based on the skill set of your sales team.
Yeah. Perfect. Love it. Guys, if you don't know about InvestorLift, I'm going to put some links below in the description to check out. One of them is if you are wholesaling at any sort of a level and you want to be part of InvestorLift, you can actually join the site and Rob's program and be able to post your deals. Also, if you're not quite there yet and you're still trying to get your business off the ground and you want to JV with your deals, bring those to me. I'll actually dispo them on the InvestorLift platform. I have the cartel level, which is the highest level. I have access to the most cash buyers. We will, if it's a deal, we will actually push it out. We will find a buyer JV with you if you're not quite ready to be on the platform yourself. So there's that option too. And definitely follow Rob, learn from him. I'm going to put his social media stuff below. Again, there's the playlist link. I'll put that so you can see all the videos that we're putting together. Try to watch them in order like we talked about. That's really important. And what I want to talk about on this next video, so you guys that are kind of following this series in order, is let's talk about now how to simplify your criteria.
Yeah.
How to, in a really easy way to scale, how to look at an exit number and an entry number, and how to have a model that your team can just run with that will really simplify, take all the complication out of this. No comping involved, no repairs involved. If you're excited about that, make sure you watch this next video. We're gonna do the formula, okay? So again, Rob, thanks for all you do. Appreciate you so much. And again, leave a comment, let us know what you're learning, what you wanna know more about. And we're gonna definitely pay attention to that and make sure that we bring you the best value we can. And we'll see you on the next video.